All right, good evening, everybody. Thank you for your patience. Welcome to this evening's ACY Securities webinar, live Forex market review. We'll get into it in a moment. Let's just go through a bit of housekeeping. You can read through the risk disclaimer, that would be great. If you don't know me, my name is Duncan Cooper. I'm the Senior Market Strategist here and Trading Mentor at ACY Securities. And I'm a full-time trader. And I've been trading now for more than 15 years, mentoring clients for more than 10. If you want to contact me, just use the email on screen. A few of you contacted me when you couldn't log in. So it's always worth having my address. So if you're trying to log in and you can't, at least you can try to get me in. I can try to tell you what's happening. I'm not quite sure what happened on our back end, but the webinar panel that I usually use wasn't giving me the link that I usually log into. So we had to run around, try to reset it up. Make sure we got there. All right, so taking out of my email there. If you want to connect with me through the week, you can connect with me on our website, acy.com, market news tab, on our YouTube channel, ACY Securities Australia, and you can connect me on Twitter and LinkedIn as well. As well, through the week in our Telegram channel, you can connect with my analysis there. Just email nathan.brad@acy.com if you want to get access to that. And if you want to get access to my chart layouts, which are up here that you can see, then simply contact Nathan too. So what I will do is I will just jump out of that and give you Nathan's contact details. So if you want to get access to anything, you can contact Nathan. There you go, that's in the chat. All right, let's get into tonight's webinar. Just bring this page up. All right, so more news coming out today. I've got the US PPI data coming out at 10:30 p.m. Yesterday we had, just want to get to yesterday. It's down here. Just more. Yesterday we had the US CPI data come out, which was saying that inflation theoretically didn't go up, didn't go down. No more inflation than what they're currently experiencing, and that sent the US dollar down, pairs up, yen pairs down. I don't know if we'll get the same reaction today on the PPI because the market's probably priced in the fact that maybe inflation has just had a bit of a peak, but we will see. All right, and then tomorrow we've got pound GDP at 4 p.m. So just understand what's coming out over the next 24 hours. All right, let's get to the charts. And I'm just going to click through, see what is going on, because I've been spent the last half an hour, best part of the half an hour, trying to get logged in. Now, a lot of the pairs moved up to the US dollar yesterday. Can they continue up, or will they move back down from where they came? That is the big question. So let's talk about the euro dollar and the pound dollar first of all. Euro dollar, I'm going to go to my other charts, go to the euro dollar. I've been discussing the area of resistance up here, 103.40, 103.49, 103.59. It's monthly, weekly, day resistance up there. We spiked up there, traded up to there yesterday in the news environment. So I don't know whether anybody got short up there, but that's the area I've been watching for a couple of weeks. And there's also a 62% retracement across this weekly range. So this is the area where the market could top. So you just have to make your mind up. Do you want to engage in this area? So back to my other charts, what you're going to see at the moment is that's where we rushed up yesterday, came in, went a bit higher than the daily resistance level, but then we moved back down and we're retesting the area right now. Maybe we're going to get another failure and a sell-off from the area. So you can make your mind up, do you want to engage in that area? Just want to look at where we are within the fib. Now let's say this is the failure here. We've moved down, this is a retest. or approximately the 62 level of that rally, if that is a rally back up into the area. So you can make your decision how you want to get in. Are you waiting for a trend line break? Do you just want to trade at the level with the stop above the high? Do you want to wait for some more confirmation? All right, so it's a very good level where we could get a reversal, major resistance there. Will price action move down and reclaim that move up yesterday and ultimately maybe move down longer term? Okay. Slav is saying, save it to wait for the news later tonight. Well, yeah, potentially you could wait till after the news. You could be taking a positional ploy and getting in now with a 100 pip stop, however you want to do it. Hopefully we can all see there that we're at a good level of resistance. It's just a question of how you want to get in. Do you want to wait for the news? Do you think the news is already factored in from yesterday? So all those things we all have to consider, but of course, that's the level 103.40 up to 103.59, okay? Pound dollar, it's very similar. I was looking at this area, back to my other charts. On Tuesday's webinar, there's the weekly range of last week. This is the 4-hour chart. I've got a fib from the high to low of last week's candle. And we've also got last month's high up here. 122.51 is weekly resistance as well. And you can see that we've stabbed into there, fell down. Today we traded back up to the 79% level. We've just touched the monthly high of last month. And you can see we're selling off from that level. So are we failing there? So I'm just going back to my other charts. Again, you have to consider whether you want to trade before the news or not. We draw a fib from yesterday's high. You know, that's the failure of yesterday. Is this a rally into the 62 level? Had a nice rejection on the candle there. Are we seeing a failure there? So you need to make your mind up. We've had some form of a trend line breakthrough there. You just need to make your mind up how you want to engage. Are you going to wait till later? Are you going to get in now? How are you going to construct the trade? I think if you're going to have a short stop, you probably have to wait till after the news. But of course, once the news comes out, if this drops 100 pips, you're not going to be in. So you obviously have to weigh up how you want to engage. All right. Just want to drop into the dollar yen as well. I covered this in the Telegram today. I want to go to my other charts because I've got my monthly level of my monthly low level here at 132.50. That's last month's low. And on the 4-hour chart here, I've got fib from last week's low up to just beyond last week's high because we traded a few pips above. And we're sitting at the 62 level. We're sitting at last month's low. And there is the potential look. It's not the perfect looking head and shoulder pattern. We went through head and shoulders last night, inverted head and shoulders pattern, but there maybe is a left shoulder here. Inverted head. Is this a little right shoulder forming here? All right. Now, if I drop it down to the 15-minute chart and have a look at this swing, then we've moved down to the 62 level, just started to form a little bit of a 15-minute uptrend from the area at the moment. So is that getting some support there to move up? This big drop that we had yesterday, these big drops or big moves up, in this case a big drop, they will often get filled. Price will move back up to fill that drop. So time will tell whether or not we move back up. All right, so it's at a nice level in here where the market could find support. You might want to wait till the news comes out before you do anything, but it is finding support there. Found support there yesterday to move up. It may be getting support there again today. All right, so have a look at the dollar index. It's moved down to this area of support. sitting on this top over here. This is a weekly top. All right, if I go back to my weekly chart, I colored in those two top areas for support. We've just nipped a fraction below. Looks very similar to the euro dollar, but in reverse. It's almost had a 62% retracement, not quite, whereas the euro dollar did. So is that where the pullback finishes? Time will tell. All right, we're certainly in an area on a lot of the charts where price could stop and put in a lower top on the weekly charts, especially to the pairs to the dollar. Is this going to put in a higher bottom on the weekly chart on the dollar index? S&P 500 has moved up to a fresh high for this run. It's moving up towards the 62 level of this range here. So that could be coming into a topping area too. I'll drop down to the weekly. And it's moving into an old weekly level of support, could be resistance there at 42.68. So yes, we're seeing US dollar weakness over the last 24 hours, stock market strength, which is usually the case when we've got US dollar weakness. All right. So we see that correlation of stock market moving up at the moment, dollar index moving down, but they're all moving into a kind of a 62% retracement area. Is that where we're going to turn around? We'll have to wait and see. All right, so I'm just going to go from left to right. Aussie Yen, very simple. I put this in the Telegram today. Go to your daily chart. We've moved above this daily resistance at 93.88. We're possibly pulling in a higher bottom here. I can see MACD's wanting to come up. And just dropping down to my 15-minute chart here, we're getting a lot of support along the 94 level. And I was looking, I put this out as a video this morning. 9,400 down to 93.88. We might find support down there today for a move up. It's dipped into the area twice today and found support. So it is offering support. Has it moved up massively at the moment? It's only moved up like 20 pips max. But it could well be on its way to come up to retest this area of resistance up here at 95.73. Okay, so that's an area to watch, 9,400 area for support. Aussie dollar. Now it's having a little bit of a headache at 7,100 after its large move up yesterday. So what I'm looking at here is, go to weekly chart. There's the weekly downtrend. This is corrective, back up. We're a little bit beyond the 62, as you can see there, but it's just corrective at the moment. In fact, we had a very negative week last week. We've only popped up because of the news. So once the excitement of the news of yesterday dissipates, which wasn't that exciting, but of course, the interest rate hikes from the Fed have obviously put a slight taper on inflation, but it's not like inflation's dropped like 5%. It just hasn't really changed for a month. All right, so I don't think the Fed's going to stop raising interest rates. They're going to need to start to see inflation, changing month by month at a steady rate. All right, before they, I think, start to take the foot off the brake, or rather put the foot on the brake in terms of raising interest rates. So I don't know if really anything has changed. In my mind, pairs are just popping up to higher levels within the downtrend. We're having a weekly rally up to higher levels. Can you pick a good level to look to maybe trade down from? So day chart, we've just popped above this daily resistance at 70.69 and we're testing the 71 level today once more. All right, so to the 15-minute chart, so I'm just going in my chat. Slime is saying that's what surprised you. Well, the market can get excited when the figure's a bit more positive than expected. But ultimately, not much has changed. So, annual inflation is still 8%. The president stood up today and said, oh, this month inflation's at 0. I said, and it's no, mate, inflation just hasn't risen. It's still at 8%. It's not at 0. So, you know, the market has just seen it as a little bit of positivity, but we haven't seen a change in the monthly and weekly trends. We've just seen a pop up for a day, a big day up. Okay. And so for me, I'm just looking for failures and turnovers back to the downside. So day chart Aussie, 70.69, we're just above there at the moment, testing the 7100 level. And there's a 4-hour chart. Look, we've maybe traded above yesterday's high a few pips, and that's about it. So we start to structurally change on the 4-hour chart back to down. This is probably going to move back down to where it came from. All right, if we start to move below 70.69, that daily resistance, and that becomes resistance once more, then there's every chance we're moving down. There's 62 levels at 70.53. So if we start to move back below 70.69, back below 70.53, there's every chance we're starting to move down. Slab, well, yeah, it's a very minor double top in the 4-hour. 15-minute chart, if you want to engage, you can see they're failing at the figure. Big rejection there at the 7100 level and at yesterday's high. You know, are we starting to sell off? There's MACD divergence there as well on the 15-minute chart. So it looks like it's topping. You just have to work out how you want to engage at that level, if you want to start to get in now, or do you want to wait for more confirmation? But there's, I would say, over the next couple of trading days, if nothing more comes into the market to show extreme positivity in terms of price action, we'll probably come back down to where we were down here. Okay. Euro yen, it's a bit consolidatory because the dollar yen's been moving down, the euro dollar's been moving up. But if you go to your daily chart, this is a weekly level of support or resistance. More support here. We're kind of getting support there today. Cameron, you asked me, why does the yen move on US dollar news? Well, yesterday it was US dollar negative. So US dollar versus yen, there's a price. So if the US dollar suddenly gets weaker, then we're going to get a new price, aren't we? Versus the dollar yen. All right. The yen got stronger versus the dollar yesterday on the fact that the dollar got weaker. So across the board, pairs to the US dollar moved up. It's the inverse quote, dollar yen, so that moves down. All right. Hopefully that helped. I don't know whether that helped your question, but the yen is priced against the US dollar. So if the US dollar got weaker yesterday, then the price will change for sure. But don't forget, with the dollar yen, the interest rate differential vastly favors the US dollar side. So whilst we've moved down, then don't forget about the interest rate differential. We moved down to a very good level on the dollar yen. The market will want to be buying the dollar yen because of the interest rate differential. Interest rates are high on the dollar side. There's no real interest rate on the yen side. Okay, so any large dip seen on the dollar yen will just be an opportunity for the market to buy longer term. So that's why I'm saying when we were looking at the dollar yen before, go back to it, that big drop will probably get filled and price will start to move up. All right, over time. And Nathan, thanks for that. All right, where were we? So on the euro yen, we are sitting on potentially weekly support here. So this is a very good level. Now I know structurally you're going to tell me this is a lower top, lower bottom, but down here we rejected monthly support. This could be pulling back just to put into a higher bottom to move further up. off of weekly support. MACD's crossed up now. So looking at your 4 hour, yes, the 4 hours down at the moment, but it's come back down to this area here. 4 hour top. All right, and it's wanting to hold on weekly support 136.86, and we're starting just to want to move back above 137. Just starting to maybe find its feet after the drop of yesterday. It's consolidatory here. As I was saying, the euro dollar has been moving up, the dollar yen's been moving down, so the euro yen can't go too far if those movements of those currency pairs are very similar. However, you can see that they followed the dollar yen drop and then it's been sideways. So if the dollar yen reclaims its drop, then the euro yen potentially will reclaim its drop. And just starting to see a little bit of, that longish term trend line that's been forming over the last, what would it be, 18 hours or so. Just starting to maybe get a break of that. Maybe those last 3 or 4 candles are starting to show support at 137. Is that starting to reclaim the drop of yesterday? All right, you can make a decision how you want to execute on that. All right, just want to see what the euro dollar is doing again. Still hanging around the 103.40 level. Not quite giving up the ghost yet. Hi Nathan, yeah, you're saying there's a euro yen setup on the 4 hour too. Yeah, Nathan's talking about a setup that we've been discussing that I'm going to be sharing in a webinar. So I'm not going to talk about that today, but I will be talking about a 4 hour setup that we've been looking at that we're going to start to present in a webinar soon. Just telling me that that's setting up on the 4 hour. All right, pound yen. I'm not really watching this too closely at the moment, other than the fact that that daily resistance level there, which is at 162.97. You can see if I put a line in there. Ultimately, I'm looking at this broader range from weekly support up to daily resistance. The price might be moving up to that level. We have put in a higher bottom here, but at the moment, through the course of the week, we are just not able to close above 162.97 resistance at the moment. All right. So it's not the best pair in the world at the moment to trade. So I'm just leaving it. I'm not engaging on that pair at the moment, but it's in a larger range. And at the moment, it's starting to be in a smaller range potentially. All right. Pound dollar, already covered that one. It is still holding down from the 79% retracement level from that weekly range that I've already showed you. New Zealand yen, not doing too much. It is still drifting up. Yesterday I had quite a large outside positive day. So that's kind of giving you every sense that we're heading up to the top of the range. I don't much like to engage in the middle of the range. But as I said the other day, if we do get up to the daily top over here at 86.56, watch that to be resistance. I'm just kind of averaging these 3 tops, but this top here, folks, broke that top. So I'm using that top, 86.56. I'm going to watch what price does up there. It's not there, so I'm just monitoring that pair at the moment. That's if price can get up there. We are moving up from this lower bottom, but potentially we might be putting in a higher bottom here with that drop down, finished on a positive day. And, we haven't had a negative day in at least 7 trading days, okay? So ultimately, it's getting support there to move up to top of the range. New Zealand dollar, very much like the Aussie dollar. If you go to your weekly chart, this is the weekly downtrend. And it's just a little bit beyond the 62 here. It could be coming up to the 79% level of that range, down to daily. Could be coming higher up to the Weekly monthly resistance here at 65.27. Does it come up to that level and hold? Very similar to what I was saying on the Aussie dollar earlier, this daily top, 63.95, so almost the 6,400 level. Are we going to see a false break of that level? So are we going to see a failure at 64? So that's what I'm monitoring. Are we going to see a failure of that top in line with potentially failing in between the 62 and the 79% fib of the weekly range for a move back down? Now, of course, all these pairs that are rallying up to their 62 levels of the weekly range, price could just keep moving on up and up and up and up and ultimately change trend. But looking, for a turnaround back down the other side to the downside from these 62 to 79% areas that we're in at the moment on the weekly chart. All right. Just going to drop that down to the 15. Seeing a few negative candles up here, but it'd be nice if today could finish back below 63.95 and below 6,400. Then tomorrow, do we see a retest failure of that level for a move back down in line with that weekly trend? Okay. I mean, let's go back to my dollar index weekly chart here. Until we see this weekly chart on the dollar index structurally change, then I can only go by what I'm seeing structurally. We're just having weekly rallies of the pairs to the dollar. Dollar index is just having a weekly pullback. For a structural change, we'd have to break 101.28. And that structural change is miles away at the moment. So just monitoring for those rallies to finish. All right, dollar Canadian. I've had this on my chart for a good few weeks, looking for this to pull back to the 79% level. Might get there. It hates 129.01 up here. As I've been saying before, if you want to trade this pair to the upside with the longer term trend that we've been having on the pair, you don't want to be trading straight into resistance, because in this resistance area, starting at 129.01, which is weekly resistance, price can't live too much above 129.01. So if you want to get long for a potential break of this area of resistance to move higher up, you want to be a buyer on a very deep dip, ideally down at the 79% retracement level here. So I will be watching and monitoring to see if price can pull back to that level. All right. All right. Just checking my questions. I don't think we've got any more coming in. All right, what haven't I covered that I normally cover? We've done the dollar yen. Let's go to gold. To the weekly charts. And we've been discussing this long-term monthly range, monthly highs up here, forming the upper range, monthly lows down here, forming the lower range. And we've got support. We've traded back up to retest this weekly resistance. We are fractionally above. I'm not totally convinced that we broke, we're moving beyond that level. We're obviously playing with that level. Are we going to move through as well? Like the pairs to the US dollar that are having 62% rallies on the weekly charts, gold is having a 62% rally too. So maybe this is quite highly correlated at the moment with the pairs to the US dollar declining. They've been rallying for 3 or 4 weeks. This has been rallying for 3 or 4 weeks. So if the pairs to the US dollar start to decline, maybe we're going to start to see gold just follow that correlated direction that we've been, seeing with gold and the pairs to the US dollar. So at the moment, the day chart trend is up. We do have a rejection candle yesterday at the 62. If we start to have a good day down today and close below 1786 resistance, maybe that is the top. All right. Once we get a clear close below 1786, I think the buyers are in trouble. All right. So I don't know whether the run there for the buys has come to an end. We'll have to monitor. Of course, if we move above the recent high here, the buyers are back in control. But logically, 62% retracement on the weekly. If we can't keep above weekly resistance to become support, you know, today we are still above that level. So if we get a nice blue positive candle and we move up and get a very strong close today, that level could now be turning to support. But yesterday's candle was very negative. So we'll have to see what the rest of the day brings for that. All right, and we can have a look at silver too. Silver is very similar. This is the weekly range. Well, let's take that off. For those not familiar with silver, you go to your monthly charts. We're actually holding on monthly support, trading into a monthly resistance area. Well, in fact, that line's weekly, but we trade, you know, a little bit further up, we've got monthly resistance from that top, from this bottom here. So it's wedged between monthly support, monthly resistance when you look at that time frame. At the moment, looks very similar to gold. It's fractionally above its weekly resistance, and it's probably at the 62 level. There you go. So they're highly similar. Are we topping at the 62 to move back below weekly support resistance? All right, that would be the question. So you'll have to monitor and make your trading decisions around that. Looking very similar to the pairs to the dollar. The currencies to the dollar, having a weekly rally back to the 62 levels. Are these levels not going to start to hold over the next few trading days? Are we going to start to see a decline back down longer term? All right, so we'll just have to wait. We've got the news data coming out 10:30. I'll just refresh my memory. It's the US PPI. Here we go. This one just here. 10:30 p.m. That's New South Wales time. That's in 2.5 hours. Tomorrow we've got the UK GDP. Midnight, moving into Saturday, we've got the US prelim UOM consumer sentiment. All right. So be aware of that news item coming out today. All right. Any questions? Anything else you want me to cover? Sorry for the delay tonight. Had a few issues with the Zoom. I did check it this afternoon. It was working perfectly, but I don't know why it suddenly decided it didn't want to work getting closer to the time, but there we go. Slightly puzzled about the gold-silver correlation with the US dollar. Well, just looking, to me, it looks like this is moving up as we've got US dollar weakness. When we had US dollar strength, gold was moving down. Now we've got US dollar weakness, gold is moving up. But what puzzles you about that? Yeah, so you're saying silver and gold were going down a month or two ago when the dollar was strong. So they're going down here when the dollar was strong. And when the US dollar started to weaken, they went the other way. Yeah, and US dollar is now weaker. So which way is it going? It's going up. So what we've been seeing as the US dollar is strong, gold's been moving down. As the US dollar gets weaker, gold's moving up. Yeah, gold silver didn't have too much of a reaction yesterday, whereas obviously the currency market did. But they did hit their 62 levels. They did show you a negative day. All right, so they don't have to have a massive day, but they did show some form of reaction in terms of getting to a level. And gold's been moving up in line with the positivity on S&P 500. There's the S&P 500. S&P 500 is moving towards the 62 level as well. So lots of things are on a weekly move up back to a 62% area. So it's going to be very interesting over the next, I guess, week. Are we going to see a topping out of these instruments at the 62% rally points for a reversal? So I'm just going to click through, see what's been going on. See what the Aussie's doing. Still testing the 71. Not giving it a trend line break yet, but it's obviously not moving too much from 71. Euro Yen getting back above 130, or holding above 137, giving a bit of a break of that trend line. Euro dollar, you know, it's holding at 103.40. It's very interesting how you watch price action time and time again. In the volatility of the news, it can test a level, start to trade through a level because of the volatility. But then we've had a pullback. And then, you know, today, we can only trade at that level today. And we did the head and shoulder pattern thing yesterday. I don't know about you, but there's some form of head and shoulder pattern look about that. All right, it's not exactly like I was showing you last night, but hopefully you can see we put an interim top here. We moved above that, which was a false break, and we're coming back to the first top of the spike up. All right, so it's a very head and shoulder look about it. All right, so it's holding it or just under 103.40. It's monthly support. I go to my, monthly resistance. I go back to my other charts just to put that euro dollar level into perspective. Let's go to the monthly chart. With the big run that we've been having down, the 103.40 level is this monthly low here. So the market, having been below it for a good almost a month, at least a month, if we take these two candles, if we, you know, we had the days together while we've been below, it's been probably at least a month below 103.40. Is it now being complete resistance and doesn't want to get back above that level? All right, that was a significant low that we broke below, and we broke it with some strong conviction. All right, so when it broke down through there, below this area of weekly support, 103.49, there would be people buying there. All right, there would be people there that didn't close their trades out. They bought, and they were still bought when price went below parity, and they got all their fingers crossed that price might come back up so that they can get rid of their bought position. All right, so price has come back up to that level. So what do you think they're doing? They're selling. If they're now thinking, well, that's a relief, I can get out of that large bought position that I took there, well, they have to sell. So that's why it's holding there at the moment. Is I'm sure there's lots of traders. There could be hedge funds, all right, who are wanting to get rid of some bought positions up there, maybe some large bought positions. So it's definitely holding. Is it going to hold into the next week and the week after that? We'll have to wait and see. But it's a definite clear, strong level that got broken aggressively. So it could well now become a very good topping point. You know, you only have to look back on the chart. We've gone through structure. Look, break below, comes back. We've broken below, we come back. All right, market does the same thing all the time. Look, how many times has it done it on this downward move? Break below, come back, tries to get above, moves down. All right. What is happening here is potentially what happened here. All right. Is it 100% foolproof? No, it's not. But it works well a lot of the time. Cameron asked me, wouldn't they get stopped out those buyers there only if they've got stops in place. You're assuming they've got stops in place. Lots of people trade and they don't have stops. Lots of funds, institutions, they don't have stops. They just trade, and they're trading lots of money, and they've got deep pockets, so they can weather quite a large move through. But what they will be doing is they may well be taking the opportunity to clear some of their trades here. All right. So we'll have to wait and see whether that's going to hold there. Of course, on the 15-minute chart, intraday today, it is holding there. Just want to go back to the pound, and the pound is holding at its 79% retracement. All right. I don't want to influence anybody ahead of the news, but I may have taken a position up in this area, but I don't want to influence anybody else, what they're doing. I'm just feeling up there is maybe an area where the market's going to put in its weekly lower top. Failed there last week. So it failed there last week. Had a massive rush up yesterday. I'll go back to my other charts where I've got it drawn in. There's last week's candle. I highlighted that on Tuesday, that area. When price was down here, and you probably thought, Duncan, it's never getting up there this week. It heavily sold off from that level last week. All right. If I just tidy a few things off here, because I don't think I've really emphasized it today. Get rid of that thing. All right, get rid of that. There's the weekly range, lower top to a lower weekly bottom. To me, we're just putting in potentially a lower weekly top here. There's the 62 level. We've been a fraction short last week. We're short this week. Yes, when the news comes out today, we could stab into there, 62. Yes, tomorrow when the UK news comes out, we could stab into there as well. But maybe we're putting in a lower top here. Maybe yesterday's news rally that was very aggressive. It was very aggressive, but it's been held at the same level that it held at last week. And in fact, it's holding short of the high of last week. All right. So we could be putting in a lower top up there. We'll just have to wait and see. All right. All right, so we've got the news coming out 10:30. We'll see what happens after that. Hopefully you got some good levels. Thank you very much for your patience today with us getting on late. These things can happen when you're dealing with technology. So thanks for your patience and hanging around. Just give you an update what's coming out on the webinar scene next week. Next Tuesday will be live market analysis. Next Wednesday will be an education webinar. That education webinar is, I can get this webpage to refresh. All right, we'll be on the 79% fib retracement pattern, which I've been using in the webinar tonight, but I'll just be talking specifically on that. And then live market analysis again next Thursday. Okay, so if you want to come along and see me, just register your interest and I will see you there. So thanks for coming out. Stay safe wherever you are. Have a great weekend. Try to be safe in the market. I'm just reading what you're saying to me, Slav. Can wait for a couple more lower tops there and retracement. Yep, quite possibly. And then enter. You can always be patient before you get in your entry. I've taken a bit more of an aggressive stance on the pound. All right, everybody. Thanks very much. Look forward to seeing you next time.